Okay, welcome everybody. This is Tesla Today. And as always, there seems to be some amazing news coming out about Tesla. One of the big things we're going to talk about in today's show is we're going to share the 9 upcoming catalysts for the company and the stock, all these announcements that's coming up in the next year. I know it's hard with the macro the way it is and the stock being depressed, but there's a lot of good things to be looking forward to. We're going to be talking about the Giga Texas now possibly hitting 5,000 production units a week. The groundbreaking of the lithium refinery was amazing and exciting yesterday, and some CyberTruck accessories. So, welcome, Randy. Love having you join me. Thank you so much.
It's always so much fun to be on your show. I enjoy this almost as much as anything I do every week.
Me too, Randy. Yeah, thank you so much. So, there's a lot to cover. So, let's get going. There's just so much to review. So, first of all, this is just a teaser. We're going to go through each one of these, but these are the 9 catalysts that Randy has put together. He has these 9 catalysts. In fact, he has even more. This is just his first kind of show on his YouTube channel that he has. You should check that out. But basically, you can see that we're going to talk about the robotaxi, the compact car, of course, the Optimus reveal, Dojo as a service, Megapack location announced, and so forth. So just as that is just a simple teaser. So we'll cover that in more detail as we move along. All right. So the one of the big news that came out yesterday, again, it's another one of these rumors, but Teslarati basically said that they saw a some real kind of this photo here of Giga Texas on the hood of a Model Y. It says 5,000, and so they feel pretty strongly that Tesla's Giga Texas is now producing 5,000 Model Ys in a single week. So they said here that in December Giga Texas was doing 3,000 Model Ys per week, and then they added another 1,000 per week by April, and so now they believe that they should be at 5,000 units per week. They've not yet announced the news, but Tesla already obtained these photos celebrating the production milestone with this unique 5,000 logo on the Texas Longhorns. Here it is, and so this is why they think it's something new. It's fitting that the it's Model Y is the only vehicle that GigaTex is making right now, and so this is probably going to go someone is lucky Tesla Model Y will receive this maybe. What do you think,
Yeah.
Randy?
Well, yeah, so, I mean, it makes sense that they would be hitting 5,000. In fact, I would say it's a little bit behind what most of us might have expected, out of Texas, but, certainly within reason in the scheme of things. So, if we're at the 5,000 level, that would mean that probably for the quarter, we should be talking about 65,000 vehicles out of Texas. Berlin should be ahead of that 65,000 because they already hit their 5,000 a week. But let's just put them both at 65 to make it easy. That'd be 130. Got to have at least 130 out of Fremont. So that's 260. Got to have at least 210 out of Shanghai, which now we got it up to, well, a lot more than some pundit have been saying, a lot more than the street has been saying. And I think it'll be more than that. I'm currently saying 490,000 shipped. That assumes that some of the 10,000 that was of the Model X's and S's that were in transit, surprisingly, at the end of the last quarter. So I'm saying 490 shipped for the quarter. That puts me way above most estimates. But I noticed that Stevenson yesterday came
Mhm.
out. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
not that far off from my number. I think he might have been.
Oh, more. Yeah, he's over 500,000.
Is
Hmm.
the over 500,000 shipped for the second quarter?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So there you go.
We'll review that later today, but in another show. But yeah, it's 500,000, man, and he breaks it down why he thinks that that's going to happen. So pretty good. Okay.
It's so unusual for me to have anybody more bullish on the numbers.
That is very true. You're definitely considered the Uber bull, and people kind of know that. But that's okay. That's okay. This is your analysis, and sometimes you'll be right. And we'll see if you're right this time around. Let's keep moving forward. So, one of the big news that was yesterday, as we all watched, many of us, is the unveiling and the groundbreaking in Texas of the lithium refinery that came out. Let's go watch this video. This was just rocking, beautiful, beautiful entry by Elon Musk. Pretty cool. Hey, Randy, I mean, this is all American made. Just beautiful, perfect, perfect to drive in there with that beautiful Cybertruck. It let just look awesome with all the flags behind it. And so they did the groundbreaking. This was an epic photo here. Nobody knew how to hold a shovel, but take a look at those shovels. They are cyber shovels. But people are looking to buy those. But the way the shovels were attached, we'll talk a little bit more about the accessory there, the roof rack, that tool thing at the back there, just gorgeous. I just absolutely love it, and I think it just makes the Cybertruck look better. And so he was awarded by Governor Abbott. Obviously it was all for show, but I loved the words that Governor Abbott used. The greatest entrepreneur ever, in the kind of jobs that they're bringing. It really is underappreciated how much Tesla is bringing. In this case, it's Texas, but pretty well around the world at this point. It's global. Just really creating jobs and new technology. This is the accessory that we're talking about, and it's kind of perfect connection with the tools attached to it. I think it look awesome. And then this is the planned refinery. So this is a mock-up of what this will end up looking like. And one of the things they said that was really striking was they said that this is going to be a very environmentally safe factory mining location. You can live right beside it. You're not going to be harmed by anything. And they also hinted that they have a lot of technologies that they have planned for this that's going to just absolutely revolutionize this. But yet another factory, Randy.
Yeah, so I think, if people watch that video, and they should watch the video, I think that there was a lot of good stuff in there that maybe wasn't noticed. Um, I you know, yeah, we all saw the truck, yeah, we all saw the accessories, all that stuff was so cool, and, it's just the innovation just continues and continues and continues. I picked up one little sentence that I don't think anybody else was paying attention to, and that is Elon said, "We're not just gonna be refining the black rock here. That'll be where they start." Okay, and I think he
Mm.
misspoke. He said that they had a harbor there so they could be bringing in the black rock from North America. I think he was referring to South America, but I mean, I don't know if the Canadian black rock, another black rock will be brought in by ship, but from South America, we definitely know there will be a lot of lithium brought from South America. But what he went on to say was it won't be just black rock, it will also be brine and clay.
Mm.
So this is the first reference to clay again in about a year and a half. They have leased that clay facility, that clay mining facility or grounds. I think it's in Arizona. And they said they were experimenting with new methods for extracting lithium from clay. This is the first mention since then, I believe. And then brine, not only do you have the brine that can come out of like the Great Salt Lake or something like that, but you also have brine that can come as a result of desalinization. And just this week, he tweeted out that there's no reason why any place in the world should be short water right now because desalinization can be done for as cheap as 2 cents for 1,000 gallons. Yeah, I think 1,000 gallons. So now you can imagine that maybe that facility will eventually be desalinization using the brine from desalinization to go right into the lithium plant to be refined into the the strata needed for the batteries.
Wonderful. And I don't know if this is accurate, but I heard also that the output of this factory is sand.
Yes, right.
So I just gotta wonder what they're gonna use the sand for, right? Like,
Well, they say they're construction materials. So there's
exactly.
sand, and yeah, another rock. I'm sorry. My brain is not
Yeah.
working right now. But anyway, yes, they're going to turn it into construction materials that can be used locally for building homes or building other kind of construction.
Okay.
Granite,
So
granite, sand and granite.
granite,
Yes.
which is perfect for construction. So this is a great list that Sawyer did yesterday after the announcement of the lithium refinery, and it's a wonderful reminder to us the growth and the just continued kind of execution by Tesla. So today, look at this. This is the entire list. So they have, of course, the Fremont producing the cars in California. Giga New York has been there a long time. Giga Nevada, they've expanded. Giga Shanghai, as we all know, is just the kind of the rock star of all the gigafactories. Giga Berlin and Texas were launched last year. They're really just 1 years old right now. And as we heard, Texas is now at 5,000, and it's expected to be at 10,000 units per week by September. Berlin is ahead of Texas. Giga Nuevo Leon in Mexico is coming soon. We've heard that they're on track. So the latest we heard was it's now been a month since they announced it, and that they're probably going to break ground in a couple months. The Megapack factory in Lathrop, as we know, is now headed towards full scale and full scale production of Megapacks. And then they announced the Shanghai Megapack factory is coming soon, the Texas Lithium refinery that they just announced soon. And so one of the tweets I said yesterday, Randy, was just saying the fact that some things Tesla will say is you feel like they say something and it doesn't show up for many years later. But there's some things that they say that and then it shows up sooner than you can even remember and realize it's here already. Look at the list of gigafactories and these are gigas. These are massive endeavors around the world. We're no longer a baby, right? This is like a full on scale growth plan here, exponential growth.
And many, many more to come. I in my list of catalysts we'll talk about. I think there'll be announcements this year. Certainly within the 12-month period, there'll be announcements of more factories.
Okay. So that's oh my gosh, that's very exciting. So I'm really happy about the lithium refinery announcement. This is my friend Ellie in space. She was physically there. She moved to Austin recently, and so she was able to actually interview some of the executives in Tesla while she was there. But this is a great photo that she was able to take of the actual Cybertruck that they drove by. Here's the that accessory at the back there, and then she interviewed Drew Baglinos. We'll talk about that shortly. Another great photo of what it looks like in the back. I really think that this accessory, it's like it feels like it just makes the truck look kind of even like ah, it makes it look better in the sense that it makes it look not so out there. Um,
Not so angular. It kind of
yeah.
takes out some of those angles. Yes,
So
and
this just reminds
the
you.
black contrast is nice.
I love it, yeah, and just reminds you just a few additions, which this truck is designed for accessories, can really change the look, can change the functionality of what this truck can do. It's gorgeous. It's gonna be just a major hit. So this is the a photo of the wiper. Some people are comparing it to the previous wiper that they had seen, and they feel like it's a lot thinner and not as thick as it used to be. I'm not sure if there's if just an angular photo or not, but that's what it looks like. I actually don't have an issue with this wiper at all. I don't know why everybody's freaking out about it. I think
Yeah.
classic. I think the bigger the wiper, the more badass it is actually. So I don't know. I don't know why people think it looks ugly, but I think it looks fine for me. So this is Matthew Donegan Ryan, another friend of mine here in Seattle, and so he had broken this story about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, because he was at the Investors Day meeting. He got to talk to the Cybertruck team, and they told him, actually, Tom Jew told him that there's a Cybertruck accessories team, um, and that so he broke this news that there's a team that's working on. They're working with aftermarket companies, but they themselves are also creating features like anything compatible with the 48-volt accessories, the winches, off-road lights, and so forth. Um, but when Ellie met with Drew Baglino yesterday at the lithium refinery announcement, Drew kind of said that this is actually what did she say? Da, 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 da. Here, Debbie Downer moment. Drew Baglino just confirmed with Ellie that the Cybertruck tool rack was custom made for today's groundbreaking, and he doesn't know if it will be made. So I really hope this was something that they're going to sell because it looks gorgeous and looks just perfect. So I'm sure they will. Um, Oh,
Yeah,
he
so
Sure. Making
every
yeah.
kind of vehicle, there's a big market for the aftermarket accessories and components and things that can be done. But I think in this case, the Cybertruck is going to be the best example of that. I'm glad to see. I don't think it'll be a major uh, profit center, these accessories, but given the scope of Tesla in the future, but I think it will be the kind of thing that'll help sell Cybertrucks. So the more use cases they can make, the more variations that they can create, the more opportunities for people who drive them to feel unique and special. All of those things I think will add. I'm a marketing guy, right? So those that's how I think about these things.
Mhm.
Is how do we market this truck? You can market it just by saying here are the specs, or you can market it by saying here's hundreds of use cases that you may not have been thinking about. Throw this accessory on, and all of a sudden you have this amazing opportunity. And they started that from the very beginning by having that quad drive up onto the bed at the very first reveal. So I think we'll see a huge amount of accessorization of the truck going forward.
Yeah. I actually think it's gonna be a bigger deal than you're making out to be, because just look at Apple iPhones and the accessories that Apple themselves make that they charge, 100% profit on. And then the accessories, ecosystem that built around it. I see the same thing happening with the Cybertruck. And so you can keep the price of the Cybertruck lower, but then making up on margins afterwards with all these accessories that people buy and add to it. But I like you said, I agree that the accessories is gonna just open up the use cases. Somebody had tweeted out saying that, "Can you imagine all the landscapers, companies that are now putting orders in after they saw what they just saw there?" It makes so much sense because of the high walls at
Yes.
the end, all these things you can attach easily on the sides. And one of the things that Elon did say was he said that there's going to be lots of mounting points, as you can see on the Cybertruck bed there, making it easy for third parties to build custom accessories for the Cybertruck. So I think this is a really big deal. It's going to be a bigger deal than we're thinking. I'm
Yeah,
excited for it.
for sure.
So this is, obviously just the reservations. This came from Sawyer. There's a lot of things here I don't understand exactly. I don't know what the reservation range is. But it says here that the net reservations for Cybertruck is at 1.8 million reservations. That's the estimated Cybertruck reservations. I think that's within the range. And so there might be a reservation. This could be the top of the range. It could be at 6.3 million. But
Yeah,
the booked total revenue, if you add it all up and they pay for it, and again, how much are they thinking? This is the price points that is being estimated here. If they pay that amount, it's going to be $140 billion worth of Cybertruck reservations. That's a massive business, just that long. 140 billion. And so then you calculate all the deposits, $100 deposits, you're going to get to $185 million have already been given to them as deposits. But yeah, what's your thinking about the demand for Cybertruck?
yeah. So I was an early got excited about Cybertruck almost immediately on seeing it. I did have the same reaction as maybe almost everybody did, which is, "Oh my gosh, that's really weird looking." And then the more I looked at it, the more I evaluated it, the more I thought about it in terms of use cases, the more I realized it was, going to be amazing. We have one on order. And we will never take it off road. We will never use it to haul anything. We will just
Yeah.
use it, in driving around town and going to church. That'll be the that'll be so. But we have one on order, and we will take delivery as soon as our number comes up. So yeah, I think the reservation number that's certainly very close to the kind of the average that I've been hearing from a bunch of different sources that seem to have some credibility. Whatever it is, I think the take rate is going to be way higher than most people think it's going to be. The people that I've talked to that have reservations and they have every intention of taking them. I if anybody out there has a reservation that they don't think they're going to use, send me an email. I may I may be willing to pay you for your reservation because you could turn these into Uber rentals immediately. This would be
Mhm.
not Uber, I'm sorry, Turo rentals immediately. I rented cars on Turo for a couple of years. and made a lot of money renting cars on Turo. Can you imagine? You would always have it rented out. It would be this is not something that would be rented out once in a while. They'd be lined up for days to get this truck. So yeah, so if you got a reservation you don't want, let me know.
So why did you buy this? Or why did you put I'll put a reservation in as well, although late. What was
Yeah.
your reasoning? Because you
Well,
just
actually,
said you're not gonna use it for all these reasons.
it's actually my wife's. Do you know the
Yeah.
number two reason that people make a decision on a car? Safety. Safety.
Okay.
Now
Yeah,
you think about safety as being like getting hit by another car or
yeah,
surviving a crash. No, there's way more to safety than safety. And I've heard this from many women. They like cars that are up in the air, where
yeah,
you're high up and looking down. I This is not something I ever think about. I love low sports cars. I drive a Volvo, S40, whatever it's called. Anyway, but I love sports cars. But women, they like to sit up. They feel safer in that kind of position over the other cars, and it's also looks safe in terms of being aggressive if somebody is thinking about maybe some kind of dangerous activity with regard to them. So yeah, it's actually for her. She's going to trade in her Model Y, or I'll keep the Model Y and she'll get the truck.
yeah. It does, make sense, and I do think that the Cybertruck might turn out to be the safest vehicle ever made, ever.
Yep. Yeah.
Remember
For
that,
all these reasons. Yeah.
yeah, remember that, little clip that they showed of the Cybertruck in, safety test safety, and they was just rushing through and about to hit the wall, and then they stopped the video? They'll probably release that and show you what happened after
Right.
they, hit the wall, and it's gonna be extremely safe. And then there
Which was
was that,
interesting. Yeah.
the
Which
Tesla
was interesting.
engineer that walked in and actually showed each of the corners and how it crumples and all that. So the Cybertruck is going to be even just much more safe than all the other cars, pretty easily.
Which was interesting also that, Tesla just announced that they're gonna set up a brand new crash center, in Austin, state of the art, probably
Yes.
gonna be better than anybody's crash center anywhere in terms of valuation because they have all this internal data that nobody collects. So it'll be really interesting to see what that looks like.
Yep. They need to put this rest bed to rest as well. Put this to rest as well, which is the idea that Tesla is the safest cars in the world, and few people know about that, and they need to be marketing that. But this is going to be an opportunity to do that. All right, let's talk Lucid. So there is we've been hearing all these reports from, of course, Ford and GM. Now we're seeing reports from Lucid, and it was not good. This is from Tesla Boomer Papa, who's the husband of Tesla Boomer Mama, which is Alexandra Mertz, a friend of our channel here. And he just had a great way to explain what happened with the results of the earnings call that Lucid had yesterday. It was bad, 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 bad across the board everywhere. Basically, I think they have 1 year left of cash. So their revenue for first quarter was much lower, 43% lower than what was expected. Their build, how many they built that quarter, was 30% lower than what was expected. They only sold 1,406 units versus the 1,900 that people were expecting. That's 30% lower, 28% lower. Everything substantially lower. When LeBeau asked, and he called them fraudulents and about reservations, he said, "We don't tell anymore." So they've stopped sharing the reservation number. Obviously, that's scary. This is from Sawyer, and he said that earnings per share was obviously a lot less, negative loss, more than expected. The revenue was a lot less than expected, and they only have 3.4 billion cash on hand. That's down 45% from the third quarter of 2022. So they are burning cash badly. Basically, they have 1 more year left, is from what people's estimates are. And then their production guidance is, instead of 10 to 14, they're now saying 10,000. So not good.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that most folks in the community that follow Lucid at all have figured that they were just on fumes and had very little chance of succeeding as a car company. I've certainly thought that for a while. I've kind of stopped even following them. There are way too many exciting BEV companies in China that are worth following, that are doing really amazing things, that are innovative, that are priced right, that are marketed right, that look good. And it's not like I'm loving the fact that there's all this Tesla competition, but in fact, Elon has said over and over again, no, we need the competition. We need the folks out there to be building all these BEVs because we can't do it alone. If we're going to get to 65 billion at minimum cars by the end of 2027, so that we can end the ice age, it's not going to be on Tesla. It's going to require and it's going to be mostly Chinese, based on the current status. Maybe Volkswagen. Volkswagen's looking pretty strong, and of course the South Koreans, Kia and Hyundai. But I don't think it's going to be Rivian. I don't think it's going to be Lucid. That doesn't mean I don't think Rivian will exist. I think Rivian will exist, but I don't think they'll be a major player. And Lucid, I think, will be out of business. So that's that's my take. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the scary part, right? Because what matters is operating margins, cost of goods, all that. And they've not shown that they have a path forward. So you're already selling a very, very premium product, over $100,000. You need to show that, you're a startup, fine, you built all these factories, so fine, but you need to start showing that it's headed towards some sort of profitability. And if they don't do that, I don't know who's going to come and save the day and give them more investment. A tweet that I'm going to read this out that Elon just did yesterday. He said this: prototypes are easy, production is hard, and achieving positive cash flow is excruciating.
Yeah, well, I've done that about 40 times in my life with 40 different businesses, and then I've helped about 400 businesses in my consulting practice. So I can tell you, yes, achieving positive cash flow is commonly much harder than entrepreneurs believe it's going to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, Lucid, Rivian, Ford, when they share their numbers, and then, we've been comparing what they're doing at this stage of their startup life to where Tesla was when they were releasing the first Roadster, then the Model S, over $100,000 cars, the Roadster, and so forth. At this point, like for example, Ford's losing $20 billion a year. At that point, Tesla was only losing $2 billion. So it's not just they're not even near, they're not even close, and they've separated out the business. Ford separated out that business as its own business unit. And so again, Lucid and Elon has been warning about Lucid and Rivian. He's been saying you need to cut costs. He's been warning this for the last 6 months, a year. Every time he's interviewed somebody who's asking him about this, he would say, they need to cut costs. They're not long for this world, right?
Yeah, and Ford is in the same situation. I mean, I think Ford, compared to GM, I think that they're doing a better job. I think that they're doing creating better cars that are more likely to go to mass sales quickly. And but they're not executing very well on the actual production of the vehicles, and they seem to have a lot of overhead to get where they need to go. Similarly, I don't know why they need this much overhead. There's a uh, uh, there was a book written years ago that talked about how if you are extremely lean in the first 5 years of business, if you are not gifted with tons and tons of venture capital, if you're not gifted with tons and tons of capital from an existing business like the ice business, and you have to be lean and mean, you don't have a choice. That it makes a huge difference on the success rate of startups. And I think this is being shown over and over and over again with Toyota and Volkswagen and General Motors and Ford, that they're just so laden, and they have tons of money. There's no reason why they can't invest a lot of money into these ventures, but the amount that they're investing in terms of overhead, in terms of capex, in terms of the cost of their factories, are multiples of what Tesla has done to achieve better results.
Yeah. So these niche players like Lucid, Rivian, Porsche, Ferrari, even BMW, for example, I think they can survive. They charge really high, and they should give them a profit margin if they're able to get past this stage, and then they can just sell a small amount of cars, but still survive and do very well. And so that's hopefully that's where they end up. But going back to the story that we just covered earlier, lithium refinery, you've got Tesla announcing groundbreaking on a lithium refinery because they're already forecasting that in a couple of years, 5 years from now, who's going to have these contracts with these resources for batteries? And if you are a Ford and GM, and they're trying to make some plays. I'm not saying they haven't done this, but if you haven't secured your battery resources, even if you build up your factories, you bring down your costs, where's the batteries going to come from? You know. So, all right, let's keep moving. I want to get to the catalyst very shortly, but before that, just one big catalyst, of course, is the FSD, full self-driving. Elon is saying that 11.4 ships to Tesla employees tomorrow, then aggressively wider as confidence grows. We test as much as possible in simulation and with QA drivers, but reality is vastly more complex. He has said that arguably version 11.4 should be 12. There's so many major improvements. And then he kind of first time ever, he said that version 12 is reserved for when full self-driving is end-to-end AI, from images in to steering, brakes, and acceleration out. So neural networks and kind of use of AI is primarily from recognizing the world with images and knowing what the world is and labeling things that the car cameras can see. And right now, these are coded kind of instructions for steering, brakes, and acceleration out. But if everything is AI, it could really make a huge difference and a huge improvement. So that's what he's promising. And then he also said this, which is once FSD is super smooth, not just safe, we'll roll out a free month trial for all cars in North America. Then we'll extend to the rest of the world after we ensure it works well on the local roads and regulators approve it in that country. So a lot here to unpack. But the first thing he said was FSD, we always make sure that FSD is super smooth, not just safe. And that's kind of hints on why whenever there's a new release, um, I'm sorry, there was another tweet that he talked about that safety comes first. So they always release something. It's always prioritizing safety, and that's why it can be a little jerky once you kind of get the new release. And then after they make sure that it's safe, then they make sure that it is super smooth. So then they continue to work on it. And that's why whenever you see a new release, it kind of comes out that way. But once you do both, then that's when they'll roll it out. And now the second thing is the free month trial for all cars in North America. That's going to be massive. We've been waiting for that. A lot of people are recommending that, and that's going to be great. So this another bit of confidence here, showing that he feels it's coming soon.
Yeah, I think, of course, we always think it's gonna the optimists in the world, the Uber bulls always think it's gonna come this year, just like Elon thinks it's gonna come this year, and I think it's gonna come this year, and, it's gonna be a breakthrough. Maybe it won't be. I mean, there's 2 possibilities, right? It could be like a Chat GPT where everybody's you know, looking over here and all of a sudden it breaks through and it's just amazing, uh, 1 month compared to the last month, and that might be version 12. Um, or it could be something which continues to be this slow evolution, just getting better and better and better. I saw somebody I actually respected the other day say, "Well, just I don't really see how it's gotten that much better over the last year." And I thought, "What nonsense!
Exactly.
Is that you when your kids are growing up, you don't notice that they're growing, an inch every 2 months, but when they go to
Mhm.
see grandma, grandma goes, "Oh my gosh, you've grown," you know. Yeah, she hasn't seen him for 6 months or 9 months, and the kid has
Mhm.
grown, a foot in that time. So I think maybe this individual who is talking like that is kind of got the drip, drip, drip effect. He's really not noticed it because it's been just a slow evolution. So, one of those things is going to happen. I think they get there, within the next 12 months, but who knows? Maybe it's 2 years. I rarely run into any pundits any longer. There's only a few, maybe 1% or 2% of articles now that are saying they think that they will never get there. Almost everybody says, oh, well, it'll
Mhm.
be 5 years, it'll be 3 years, but nobody says never anymore. And I don't know whether that's because of Chat GPT or just because it's so good now. But either way, if it's 5 years, oh well, we'll wait 5 years. If it's next month, oh, good.
Yeah. So a couple comments. One is, somebody looks backwards and says, "See how much progress or no progress Therefore, forward, this is what I expect. It's going to be 2 years, 5 years, nowhere near. There's a fallacy in that philosophy, that thinking,
Yeah,
just that way, that alone, because this is exponential self-learning neural networks.
right.
When they apply the self-learning to the steering and navigation and so forth, then it that will also now change. It is already applied to the recognition of the world, and it's already applied to the planning and what they and navigation, I think it is, and now it's going to be applied to the steering and acceleration and so forth. So it just completes the whole story. But at that point, it could be literally less than a month, and all of a sudden, it is magnitudes better than what it is now. I fully expect that FSD will have this magical situation where the system finally understands and doesn't make any of the stupid mistakes anymore.
Right.
Okay, because right now it's doing great. Right, it can drive
Yeah, yeah,
anywhere, point to point.
right.
But because of the stupid mistakes, people are going, well, I'm not, that's nowhere near ready if it's going to make that mistake, miss that red light, it turned when it didn't need to turn, those kind of things. But once that stops, then we're talking about just the edge cases at this point. But like you said, the narrative has already changed. It used to be people would say, never in my lifetime, never in my lifetime. Now, very few people will say that. And now they're saying, well, 10 years maybe, but certainly not this year. So there's a moment that can happen when that narrative will change again. And they'll go, oh, it still take 2 years. It's not going to be, it just keeps getting compressed, right? So, but boy, Elon is very, very confident, and he's been confident for many years, and that kind of harms his statements today. But
Well, there was
you
one
kind of step
clue.
back.
There
Yeah.
was one clue this week. I thought it was a really important clue with regard to the fact that maybe it's really getting close because they can't really come out. They have fiduciary responsibilities to we stockholders to not overstate things or understate things. But the clue that I got was the regulatory folks in Europe. I forget the name of the agency
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is making a decision with regard to whether FSD can be a thing in Europe, in the European
Mhm.
Union, and they were going to make a decision about
Yeah.
that in December of 2025. They've moved that decision back a full year, and they didn't do that because they love Elon. They didn't do that
No.
because they're all excited about FSD. They did it because somebody is whispering in their ear and saying, "You don't want to wait till 2025. This is going to be a thing sooner than you think, and you need to move this up." That's a that's my take. I have no idea whether I'm right. I'm not a fly on the wall in their meeting rooms, but I think they know from somewhere, and that could be from Tesla, saying, "Listen, this would be do you wanna look ridiculous? Well, then wait until 2025."
Yeah. So, yeah, in one of these shows, I did report on that, where that regulatory body moved up. They said that they're going to approve FSD beta being tried out in Europe a year earlier. It's going to happen by January of this year, something like that. And that's great news for Europe. But like you said, these regulatory bodies, they're not. It's the opposite of what people think. Because in fact, if there was an issue and they're seeing data to show that FSD, for example, is one of the autonomous driving betas out there, is causing more harm than less, they would have put a stop to it. But the fact that they haven't yet today means that they're seeing what Tesla is saying, which is it's actually safer because right now it's supervised driving. So having me driving the car, being very careful, plus having the car having the cameras and being able to make decisions, is actually safer than just a person driving on their own. That's already proven now with the data that's coming out. So, okay, I think I'm very bullish about this. It's still coming forward. At the end of the day, it's no longer, as we're saying, it's no longer if, it's a matter of when. It's pretty obvious. And then I've been saying to people that you don't need to wait until it's Robotaxi delivering you revenue per month. You don't need to do that. Now, you're already going to get FSD beta purchases. That's happening,
Right.
right? But what matters more is just a narrative change. As soon as everybody starts realizing, okay, it's inevitable, the stock will skyrocket. People start buying it because they're anticipating it ahead of the regulatory approval, but it looks like it's going to happen. And so there's going to be that moment. Let's go through your catalyst. This is exciting. We just talked one of the big ones, but walk me through this list and tell me where you came up with this and what's your thinking.
All right, so I've done these catalysts before. I love that Gary does them. Gary Black does them, and I started about I don't know, about 12 months ago. I started doing my own catalysts, and this time though I went crazy. I ended up with 32 catalysts, and maybe next Tuesday we can talk about some of the other ones. I'll be revealing them. I've already revealed all of them on my Patreon, and I'll be revealing them on my various YouTubes this week. But what I all of a sudden realized was that I've been watching stocks. I'm not going to tell you what year I started watching the stock market, but I was 18 or 19 years old
Mm,
back at UCLA, and I would walk down to the local brokerage and watch the ticker tape going across the wall, and I was
mhm.
playing Fairchild Camera and Instrument. So now, if you want to do your research, you can find out how old I am. When was Fairchild Camera and Instrument a big deal? All right, so but in watching stocks for all those years, I have never seen a company, not Apple, not Microsoft, not Walmart, not Facebook, none of them that have ever had the lineup of headlines that Tesla does for the next 12 months. Now, some of the ones in this list won't happen in the next 12 months, or maybe all 12 of them will. A couple of them are way more speculative, as you'll see, but I believe that all 12 of them are possible within the next 12 months, and many of them are basically already baked in. So you start with the unveiling of the actual compact or robotaxi. I'm saying that happens in quarter 4 of this year. Maybe it'll be first quarter of next year. It'll be at some point when the factory is far enough along, and when they think that marketing wise it makes the best sense, they will have the reveal. Is it possible that they won't reveal it until they're actually going to push out the first cars from Mexico? I don't think it'll be that long. That's why I'm saying quarter 4 of this year, quarter 1 of next year is when that'll be revealed. And when that's revealed, you will definitely have a market moving situation. I'm guessing that it'll be exciting. so, so that would be number one. Number two would be an Optimus reveal. Now, this one's way more speculative. This is a Randy Kirk thing I've been talking about for months. I believe that Optimus will be ready to reveal at AI Day 3 in October or November of this year. And we were kind of promised an AI Day 3. And I think that Optimus will be ready by then, and I think they will reveal it, and I think they'll start taking orders. So that would be, I think, a market mover. What do you think? and,
If
and
you're saying production, you're not just saying, there's definitely going to be an AI Day 3. That's gonna be a yearly thing, and they're definitely going to reveal or share more information about the Tesla bot. But whether or not it's going to be ready for sale, that's the question. I actually lean towards it will be ready for sale by that point because
okay,
as we were talking to, I've been talking to a number of experts and so forth, and what they're saying about this is that the Tesla bot production, the building of the bot itself is actually not hard,
no,
as people have been saying, especially not hard for Tesla, who has SpaceX, who has the manufacturing skills and technology that they've created every kind of product you can think of, parts and materials. And uh, and and then the brains part of it, they already have a head start, but it depends on what the use case is what they're telling me, right? If there's a use case that's very straightforward, very simple, and it still is very much, from this spot to this spot, and doesn't require a lot of, fancy complex thinking and movement and so forth, absolutely, there's lots of jobs that it can do that today. And so they're very likely going to be a version of Optimus that does very, very little, but enough for a company or factory to buy and save the money, even if it moves slowly, all those kind of things. So yeah, I do think it's going to be revealed sooner than we realize. Yeah.
oh, right. So at that same AI Day, I think that they will announce that Dojo as a service will be also available. Some people have said that they need all the compute. I've had a couple of comments from people saying they'll need all the compute from Dojo just to do what they're doing internally for their own needs. I don't think so. I think they'll have compute available. And at the point that Dojo is complete, which they have not announced that yet, at the point that Dojo is whatever that means exactly complete, then it's just a matter of adding more racks after that, and you can add more and more and more compute. So I think that they will announce. Uh, uh, Most recent comment by Elon has been that that's a $400 billion business if they do decide to do it. I have no idea where he got the number, but he's didn't do that by he did it by first principles. His analysis wasn't just something he pulled out of the sky. So something is going to happen with Dojo as a service where he believes it's $400 billion in business. And I believe that it will be unveiled at the AI Day as something that is available to be done.
Okay, let's keep moving.
All right, third mega pack location announced. So this is so obvious because it's so easy to build these. The question, I think, only is the equipment that goes inside, and I think that's what slowed up Lathrop. That's
Mhm.
based on some of the information that's being reported by Ferguson and others. That there's equipment that is going to be arriving in the fall that will double the capacity at Lathrop. So I think what's going to happen is now they've got this supply chain lined up. They needed to line up the supply chain that would be specific to these factories. Once the supply chain is lined up, now you can
Yeah.
start cookie cuttering these.
Mhm.
There's going to be plenty of batteries to do this, especially with the right now the glut of batteries that are on the market. So I see them uh, making at least one additional mega pack announcement this year, probably in quarter four. Um,
Could be sooner.
could be sooner. Could be
I think
sooner.
it's actually sooner.
All
Yeah,
right. And I think
they did the Shanghai one. They're gonna do another one pretty quick.
I think it'll be either Austin or Berlin. It might be Mexico, but I think Austin or Berlin are next. New commercial vehicle reveal. We've already been told there will be a new commercial vehicle. I think the new commercial vehicle will either be built in Austin or in Mexico. And I think that it will be revealed maybe at the same time as the compact slash robotaxi, maybe before, maybe after. I think it'll be a van. Personally, I think maybe there's a bigger I haven't looked this up, but I think there might be more of the tiny pickup trucks built than vans. I'm not sure, but I imagine those 2 are close. I really think they need that small pickup truck, but maybe that'll be later. Anyway, but that's I think the commercial vehicle March of '24. Um, Gigafactory location announcement. We've been waiting and waiting. Is it South Korea? Is it Japan? Is it Indonesia? You know, those are probably the top 3 that people are talking about, unless it would be a second one someplace else in China. But I think there will be a Gigafactory location announcement, the one that we were supposed to get last year. We were supposed to get 2, you might remember. So we only got 1, Mexico. So I'm looking for another
There
Gigafactory
was expansions.
extensions, but not a Gigafactory. So I'm looking for that announcement in 23, sometime this year. FSD level 4 or 5 capability this year. We just talked a lot about that. I think that's a pretty good chance that that's going to happen. I have a new definition of what that is. It's when Elon says you can drive it from the back seat. That's level 5.
Well,
So
so that's not the target, by the way. I wouldn't use level 4 or 5 anymore. That's a
no, no,
archaic level,
yes,
categorization. It should be safer than a human is
yeah.
what, Tesla has been focusing on. So it'd be 10 times safer than a human, and before that it can go and be used as a robotaxi, it needs to be 20 times safer than human. So the goal really at the end of this year is just 10 times safer than human. Level 4, level 5 means robotaxi, and that's just not gonna happen this year. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think Elon will make the statement at some point, and
Sure.
maybe I've ruined
Absolutely.
it. Maybe I've ruined it, and he can't make that statement anymore. But I think he'll say, "Okay, you can drive it from the back seat now," and
Mm,
that'll be the headline. Some variation of that will be the headline. Some pithy statement
yeah.
like that.
They would need to have their insurance to take the liability.
Yes,
But
of
okay,
course.
anyways, let's not focus on this too much, but, we already spent some
All
time
right.
on it. Yep.
Cybertruck handover. We know
Mhm.
that's coming. It's obvious.
Yes.
We've been
Yep.
told it'll be sometime in the fall. So I'm saying in September, and then they'll probably be making 100 a week or something at that time, and that'll be a very significant headline. And then finally, the Highlander will start production with a 30,000 or less sticker in China, maybe a
Mhm.
25,000 sticker in China, and a 35,000 or less sticker in the United States. I think probably around 35,000. And I'm saying that happens in July of 23, based on the rumors that Shanghai will probably shut down for 3 days at the end of June to switch over to the Model 3. So those are
Great list.
my
Yep.
first 9 catalysts.
Fantastic. Okay, so let me give you some my reaction to this. So the unveiling of the compact car robotaxi Q4 is probably aggressive in my mind. It should be Q1, as you said, if not even later, because they need to break ground in Mexico, probably 9 months if we're super lucky. So about a year from now, and so a year from now is May of next year. So Q4 is like 6 months from now, right? So it's just not going to happen. Um, the design, could they show the design? Possibly. I think they might show the design if it's after the Highlander, the Model 3 revised. If the Model 3 revised comes out, shows a lower price point, and then it kind of like people will start buying that while this compact car comes next year. I don't know. They might not. This might, what I mean, like the whole point of not showing some product before until it's actually ready to sell. So they may not do that. The Optimus reveal, like I said already, I think it's guaranteed. You're going to see something at day 3, if not even sooner. And I agree that it's production level and for a very specific task. Dojo, it's interesting because he himself, Elon himself, brought it up out of the blue in the earnings call. And but he couched it by saying it could be nothing. We could sell nothing of it, or if it is sold, we could sell some ridiculous number. But for him to have brought it up is something that I think that is probably on top of his mind. It's probably moving forward. Just another potential hint that it's something is happening. Um, the third mega pack location, I guaranteed it's happening, probably and most likely going to happen, if not sooner than Q4, as we said. I think it's going to happen sooner. We have to remind everybody that just in the last Investors Day, they announced an increase in the capex from $5 to $7 billion per year. They've increased it to $7 to $9 billion per year.
Right.
So what does that mean? You bet. More locations, more building. We're now at hockey stick growth level here. And people are just still looking backwards and saying, "Oh, we only did one mega pack factory a year, and then last year they said they were going to do two, and they only did." No, just hold your horses. You're going to start seeing massive growth here. A new commercial vehicle reveal March 24. I think they're again very very aggressive there. Gigafactory location announcement. Agreed for sure. It's going to happen this year. There's just like you said, it's going to happen. They've already kind of worked it out. They did the Mexico one. There's going to be another one before the end of this year, if not two. FSD. We talked about it. It's going to be safer than a human. Um, and I don't think it's going to be level 4. There's not no such thing. But something that is better than what it is now, and whether or not it captures the imagination of the narrative changes. By the end of the day, they'll start selling FSD, as you saw, free month and all that. That will still happen. But there needs to be a point when, and then they'll start giving you data about it being 10 times safer than a human. Eventually, you'll start making an realization that robotaxi is on the horizon. This is definitely true. I don't know about September. He did say fall, but things do look like they're absolutely on track. We're seeing production lines. We're seeing photos of these trucks everywhere, and we're seeing the equipment that they need. We're hearing from suppliers talking about announcing that they've won the deal for the Cybertruck pillars and so forth. So yeah, this is almost looks like Cybertruck is absolutely on track, still on track. And then the Highlander, absolutely, I totally agree with you. There's just we've seen photos of the project of the Model 3. We're now starting to hear rumors. Yesterday on China saying that the production line is going to be started in June. I don't know if you saw that, but the production line starting in June. So
Oh,
um,
I didn't see
yeah,
that.
that was the rumor. There was somebody from China said this rumor that it was going to a new production line. What's called a pilot production line. So these are definitions. Pilot production, right? But
Right.
yeah. So this
Yeah.
is it's coming hot and heavy. Agreed.
So again, if you look at these 9, and let's say that only 6 of them happen, this is only 9 of 32, but these 9 are what I call reveals and announcements.
Yeah.
So the next ones attack it from different directions in terms of potential market movers. But if you just look at those 9 and imagine that 6 of those actually happen within the next
Mhm.
12 months, what other company? What other company? Tell me any other company that comes
I know.
close to being able to have those kind of announcements of those magnitudes, of those impacts on society. and they're most of them are already baked in. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah. So whether or not they're catalysts for the stock, as you know, I call myself the milestones guy. I create all
right,
sorts of milestones, and some of them are catalysts and some are milestones. We don't know which is the catalyst for the stock. And what I've learned is that no amount of announcements make a difference to the stock necessarily in a macro environment that we're in right now.
right.
The good news is that the macro is turning. That narrative is changing. And now any one of these could actually be a stock catalyst at this point because of the just as you watch what the fear possibly that people might have of a massive recession coming and things could turn really easily, but right now it's looking like that's easing a bit on the macro. So even last year, if you look at 2022, and I've got the entire list of all the things that Tesla did, it is crazy good. But it's hard to announce to kind of send that list to everybody because they're going to go, "Let me show me what's happening with the stock," and then they just can't absorb or don't want to hear, "Oh, look, Tesla's doing yet another great thing," and they're going to go, "Yeah, look at the stock." They're
Exactly.
not connected together. But if you step back and realize that the stock is not connected to the business is humming, and it was humming last year, and now they're gonna even I mean, this is crazy stuff that they're doing now. This is crazy. A Tesla bot, a Dojo supercomputer that is faster than the fifth largest supercomputer in the world, multiple mega pack factories, and the Tesla, the lithium refinery. They're no longer a car company. Almost everything you said there. Now they're heading to the compact car, the robo taxi, this whole concept that they're only at a small number of vehicle segments. This is going to open up the massive TAM for them, and then they've pretty well won the market for Model S's, the Model 3s, everything that every place they've been in, they're going to win, and now they're going to win the compact car. So yeah, anyways, okay. Woo. I don't know, you're
Yes,
bullish, I'm bullish. When we get together we're very bullish.
and you just actually made me think of yet another. It won't be exactly an announcement. It'll be kind of a third party thing coming in that's not on my list. So I'm going to add it to my list as soon as we get off.
Those are on my list. I'm telling
Sometime,
you. Yep.
sometime later this year, they're going
Yep.
to announce that the Model Y is the best selling car in the world.
Right.
That will be a headline. That will be a valuable headline.
I've been telling people who've been complaining about price cuts and they want advertising, and I'm saying, "What is the greatest advertising in the world?" The greatest advertising in the world is when you can say, "My car, the Model Y, is the number one best-selling by unit volume ever."
Yes.
And per year, and that's the greatest advertising you need. So you need to bring down the cost to be able to get the sales volume to that point. That's more worth than any advertising you could think of.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
There will be announcements by third parties at this point, and I'm shocked that I haven't heard more. But I'm expecting McDonald's and others to come out and say, we've got to deal with Tesla superchargers in every one of our locations. I mean, it's inevitable at this point that this is going to happen, and there probably is going to be an OEM that partners with Tesla at this point, whether it's for the skateboard batteries, whether it's for the software and the front end, or if it's FSD or something like that. They're going to be partnering because they realize they've lost the game, and you need to, partner with Tesla and
Right.
then survive or just
Yes.
die and wither away. So it's going to happen. Mark my words. Okay, gotta go. We're
All
hit
right.
the 60-minute mark. Thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate you. Please follow him at Randy Lee W Kirk 1 on Twitter, but also he's got his YouTube channel. So check him out there. Appreciate everybody as always. So please like and subscribe to us and keep watching us every noon. Talk to you soon.